So this isn't going to be our typical video, but thanks to a great comment we got, we're going to make a detailed build video of our Christmas light display. Be sure to watch that video if you haven't already. In this video we will go over wiring the controller, the Arduino sketch, setting up the display in Vixen 3, creating a sequence in Vixen 3, and creating a show. Here we have the inside of our controller. It may look a little complicated, but it really is just three main components. We have our Arduino Mega, we have our relays, and we have our outlets. Here's a wiring diagram to better show what's going on. The pin numbers for the relays are listed in the Arduino sketch. So here we have our Arduino program, and there's a few spots on it that we can change up depending on what our setup is. So the first line that we can change is this one here, the channel count. Depending on which Arduino you're using, you can support up to 48 channels on an Arduino Mega or 18 channels on an Arduino Uno. So for our setup that you guys saw in our video, we have 12 channels, so we set that to 12 here. On this line here we can set the baud rate for the information being sent to the controller. We'll talk more about this when we look at Vixen. And then down here is where we're defining all of our channels. So it's got outlined all the way up to 48 channels and which ports they're plugged into and everything, but we can comment out whichever channels we're not using or delete them. When the Arduino isn't connected to Vixen, the program will have the lights randomly turn on and off. So here we have our Vixen software, and this is what the window looks like when you first open the program. First we're going to set up our display, and we'll go to System Configurations and Set Up Display. So here we can see what we've already have set up. On the left side we have all of our elements. We've got 12 elements in our display this year. And then on the right side we see our controller. Now if we expand this plus here on our Arduino One controller, you can see that we've got 12 outputs and they're all linked up to our 12 elements over here. So to show you how to add elements and patch those to your controller, we're just going to go ahead and add more elements and create a new controller just to kind of show you how to do this from the start. So to add an element, we'll go to Add in this drop down menu here, and for just like a standard string of Christmas lights, we're going to use single item. We'll select that and go click Add, and let's call this light 1. And that's going to ask if we want to set up a dimming curve, and for our particular lights we don't need to do that, so we'll click No. And then it asks for color configurations. So here we'll go and click that there's single color, and a little bug that we've found using Vixen, and we've spent a few hours stuck on this problem searching the internet trying to solve this, and we weren't able to find it, but what we eventually solved ourselves is that if we have our color set to blue, here we can select our color. If we have it set to blue, for whatever reason Vixen doesn't send that command to our Arduino. So what we end up having to do is select a different color. So we set it to yellow. Now the colors that you select here are helpful because it shows up on our preview of our display, which we'll talk about in a little bit, how to set that up and view it. But for now, we'll just go ahead and select that as yellow and continue on. So then we'll just go and add a few more lights. Other colors work, like green, so we'll go and select green for this one. Make this one red. And let's add one more. I'll make that one white. So now we have these 4 lights, and they're not connected to any controllers or anything. So to set up a new controller, we'll go ahead to the right side of our screen to controllers and go to this drop down menu here. And for our Arduino controller, Vixen treats it as a generic serial. So we'll go ahead and click that and click add. And we'll just go ahead and name this Arduino 2. And we're just going to say that it has 4 outputs to match up with our 4 elements that we just added. So now here, if we go to our drop down of Arduino 2, we see that we've got outputs 1 through 4 and they're grayed out. That's because we don't have any elements patched to those outputs. So to get those patched or linked up together, we'll go ahead and select the elements we want to patch, and we'll go ahead and select the outputs we want to patch them to, and go ahead and click patch elements. And now it confirms that they are now connected, and we have our green dots here to confirm that those are connected as well. So then to configure our controller, we can click on our Arduino 2 controller and then go down to configure. And there's a few settings on here that we have to adjust. Now because I don't have the controller plugged in currently, I'm not able to adjust these items. But we'll go ahead and look at our Arduino 1 controller just so we can see what settings we need to set. So we go to configure, and on this first page here, we're going to have to go and click this check mark here to send a text header. And on that line, you'll put a little squiggly and an exclamation point. And then we go up to serial port settings and click on the setup button there. We'll see our port name, and that's going to change depending on which port you have your Arduino plugged into. That'll be like COM1, COM2, in our case COM3. You can set your baud rate, and this is what we saw on our Arduino program. And you just have to make sure that these two numbers match. For parity, we can have none, data bits 8, and stop bits 1. So once you get those settings all set on your controller, that should be all good to go. So we'll go ahead and click OK and close this window. So next we'll go ahead and set up a preview of our display. So we'll go to System Configurations and Set Up Previews. And here we'll go and add a new preview. Select Vixen Display Preview. So then this window over here pops up, and this is going to show the preview of our display. And right now it's just a blank page, but we'll go ahead and set that up. Go down to Configure Preview here, and now we have this whole setup page where we can adjust our preview. So up here under background we see this picture. We can click on that and then go through our pictures here and find a photo to add. So once you have a photo selected, you can modify the brightness of the photo to kind of simulate nighttime. And then you can add in your different lighting elements as kind of a sketch. So for light 1, you can go ahead and click on that and then go up to basic drawing, and we'll just select a light string. And if, say we just want to add some lights along this edge of the building here, can do that. And then when we click on light 1, you see that the dots here representing those lights turn pink, showing that it's selected. Now if we wanted to add more lights associated with light 1, we can go ahead and click that again and draw another line. But be sure to select whichever element you want to associate with what you're drawing, so that when you draw it, they'll be connected. Let's go ahead and do that. Now for light 2, let's just say have a triangle kind of tree here. And then for light 3, we'll make another one. And then light 4, we'll just do another triangle tree over here. So now we see when we select all of these, light 1, our outline here lights up, light 2, our tree on the left lights up, light 3 is our middle tree, and light 4 is our far right tree. And that's kind of just a real basic way of setting up that preview, but it kind of gets the idea across. So we'll go ahead and save that and close out. So now with our check mark here selected on this preview we just created, we can now see on this window our preview. Now in this preview window we don't currently see those items we just drew because they're not currently on. The kind of neat thing is that, as we'll see a little bit later, it'll show in live time which lights are lit up when you're creating your sequence. And that can come in real handy, especially if you're creating your sequences before you have your actual light show set up. So we'll go ahead and exit our display preview setup. So next we'll show you how to create a light sequence. So we'll go to Sequences and select New Sequence. And that's going to open up this window here where we can create our sequence. The first thing we'll do is add a song to this sequence. And to do that, there's two ways we can do that. We can go up to this top bar here and select this music symbol, or we can go up to Tools, Audio, and Associate Audio. And once you have a song selected, you'll see it appear at the top of the screen up here. Next thing you'll want to do to kind of help you create your sequence is go to Tools, Audio, and Beat Bar Detection. And this is going to add visual lines of where every beat is. You can kind of tell where they are looking at this, where the sounds are a little louder, but going ahead and adding the beat bars really helps, as you'll see. So now notice there's these white lines that are the beats to the song, and that makes it easier for adding in your effects. Now with the type of lights that we're using, just the standard string lights, we're going to use the basic lighting effects. And of those, really the one that works best is going to be alternating. So here we can click on this and drag it in to where we want it. Once you add the effect to your sequence, you could modify the length, move the position, even change it to different elements to light up. And you can see here the colors change depending on which one it is. And that's based off the colors that we selected earlier. So go ahead and add this element here, and we can go ahead and copy those and paste those around different spots, just to kind of give you an example there. Now if we bring our preview display into the picture here, so we can go ahead and play our sequence, and we'll see on our display preview the elements lighting up as it goes through the song. So there you see the outlines and some of the trees popping up. And that's a really handy feature when setting up your display. So with that, you can accomplish just about all the sequencing you want. But a few other helpful tools that I use is up here where it says the timing speed, where it's currently 100. You can adjust your song to play back slower or faster, and that can kind of help you get it timed to just the right spot of the beat or whatever part of the song you're trying to get. With some of the faster Trans-Siberian songs, I've had to slow it down like all the way to 20 just to get it just right. Another thing that's a little helpful is adjusting the zoom on the timing. So it's just like with the speed of the song. You can adjust the timing and get a better visual of just where those beats are. Another effect I like to use is the candle flicker. And that one will just have the light randomly flash on and off. And it's random like a candle. I find this effect to work better with incandescent lights. versus the LEDs. And it's kind of fun if you set several of your lights to candle flicker, so it's just completely random. Another effect we've had some success with is the strobe. The strobe will have the light flash at a constant speed. And over here on the right side of the screen you can adjust the strobing frequency. But for the most part you can do everything that you need with alternating. And you can have even more control of it, I feel. And that's mostly what we use. These other effects under pixel lighting are for if you have individually addressable LEDs. We haven't tried doing that yet. We plan to give it a try next year to add to our display. And that's just about all you need to create your light display. So we'll go ahead and close out of this one. As you start creating your sequences, you'll see them showing up here in your recent sequences. So we'll go ahead and open one of the sequences we've created before. So this one is Carol of the Bells from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And you can see just how crazy your sequences can get. Just have fun with it. So next we'll show you how to create a new show. So we'll go up to the top of the screen to Scheduler and select Shows. And we'll create a new show by clicking the plus sign and then double click on that. Now here you can start building your show. On the startup tab, if you want it to have a startup sequence that plays only once, you can play that. If it's like some intro song or introduction speech that you want to create, you can add that here. But your main show is going to be here under the sequential tab. Here you can go ahead and click a plus to add a new sequence, at least a new spot for a sequence. And then in each of these spots here you can go and look for your sequence in the File Explorer and find all of your songs to add. And then if you want to remove any of them, you can select it and click the minus sign. And give your show a new name up here. And then when that's all good, go ahead and click OK. So now we see our new show here, Create 2022 show. We close out of that. Next we'll want to schedule when these shows play. So we'll go back up to the scheduler and then click Schedules. And here we can see the shows that we have scheduled. For this year we have our display only going on from 6 to 9 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But if we want to add a new show, we can go create a new scheduled show, and on here we can start building our schedule. The first thing we select is which show we want to display. We'll go ahead and select our 2022 show, the one we just created, and then select which dates we want this to run from. Let's have it run to the end of the year, and we'll just have this one run on Friday and Saturday from 6 to 9. Just like that, we've got our show created.